I see dead people.
We are talking about the movie Ruin Me, which is directed by Preston de Francis, and this is actually on Shudder, which you can watch right now. And it's kind of, if you've ever seen the movie The Game with Michael Douglas, it's kind of a horror version of that. A bit like Game Night, which came out recently, which is a kind of comedy version, and I reviewed one recently with Bill Murray, The Man Who Knew Too Little. Again, similar kind of setup. And basically what it is, it's about a group of 6 people that decide they're going to go on a kind of a live action horror experience. So it's kind of like an immersive experience. They're kind of role playing. They all kind of get kidnapped and taken out to the woods. They've got to kind of try and find clues, etc. And there's this kind of setup of these kind of like these, you know, masked lunatics in the woods, etc. And actually 6 guys obviously are in these woods. Lines start to blur, what is real, and is there a, you know, or is it all fantasy, or is there a real threat lurking here that people think that is actually fake? So there you go, conundrums. So it's essentially a kind of a horror mystery, because you don't know what's real, you don't know if it's kind of fake. So that's your kind of plot. So what works with this movie? It's a great concept. Has been done a few times before, like with films that I've mentioned, and probably some more as well that I haven't. But nonetheless, I don't think it's a concept which is overdone. And so it makes it for quite an intriguing story that you're kind of, you know, you're kind of going along with as well, and wondering and trying to kind of think, is this real? Is that not? Etc, etc. You do feel like you're getting somewhat manipulated as an audience member, I will say that, but nonetheless I still find it's an interesting setup. I like the characters in this film. I thought the characters were particularly well acted and particularly well written, with maybe the exception of A Turn by One, which we'll come on to. But nonetheless I thought the characters were all kind of rounded characters that seemed like they had touches of being sort of stereotypes, but it seems sort of real characters as well. And you know, they've got this sort of gothy couple that sort of taking it super seriously and all of that, and kind of want to be the top guys and get a little bit kind of in competition with the other people, stuff like that. And there's even a bit of commentary on kind of horror movies versus other type of movies, what I sort of found quite fun. So that was quite good. And the film does have this kind of engaging kind of plot line that obviously, as you follow in the film, you know, it's keeping you kind of getting from one scene to the next. I thought that on the technical side of the film, this was a proficiently made film. Cinematography, use of lighting, shadows, sound design, all at a good level here, so you feel like you're watching, you know, a well-made production. You're not feeling like it's, you know, it's too cheap and you can't get into it because it's cheap. So that was all good. What doesn't work for me, the big thing for me, I'm not going to tell you what it is the ending of this film. The ending for this film is really weak. It's such a letdown compared to what I think is otherwise a pretty solid movie. There's a kind of an extended sequence, and so it goes on for a while, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all, in my opinion at least. So that was disappointing. There's a character moment as well, which kind of links to that, from a particular character that just seems really silly. I mean, it just, considering the information that we are given, it doesn't make sense to me. So that was kind of quite poor. Other than the ending, what I would say is I think we are asked to believe quite a lot in this movie. So when we're kind of watching these things, we're thinking, come on, that seems a little bit convenient. These things are a little bit happening too kind of like perfectly, things like that. So it just seems maybe that you know, you would have to have an army of people to kind of like set this kind of game up like it plays out. It kind of reminds me a little bit like Saw as well. It has a kind of elements of Saw in it. overall, I actually thought it is an enjoyable film, let down by a very, very poor ending, but with good performances, you know, and an intriguing plotline right up until the end at least. And, you know, somewhat original in regards to a kind of a horror movie, but it's proficiently made. So I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. It's worth a watch. Have you seen it? What do you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.